My next guest is an unstoppable force of nature. She has made it her life's mission to improve healthcare in one of the most deprived regions in the world. Enter Devi Patel, who co-founded and has been running the Better Lives Foundation with her husband Raj for the last 16 years. This incredible organization has been providing free medical treatment for the people of Yonibana, Sierra Leone, with a unique approach of empowering the local population to become self-sufficient. In this episode, we delve into her life's journey, what made her dedicate her life to serving humanity, what drives her every single day, how she overcomes unsurmountable obstacles, and the mindset she embodies to manifest what most people would deem impossible. Devi Patel, where are we right now? Tell us.
Okay, well, we are in sunny Yonibana at the Yonibana Science Center, which is about 91 miles away from Freetown. Lovely suburbs and peace and quiet, I think. On and off. When the generator's not on or the motorbike's not coming.
Well, do you know what? I'm so happy to be here. It's my first time. And just even sitting here with you, because I know you're a very busy lady, grabbing a few minutes of your time so you can basically share your experiences and your wisdom on your journey to where you are right now. So tell us exactly why we're here together right now.
So we came here to Yonibana in 2006 for one single medical camp. We ended up buying land and building a hospital, and so here we are. Now, the hospital has been running with our local staff that we sponsored, 77 of them, from secondary level all the way through to graduate, in medical and non-medical, so that we would have a complement of every or as many departments as possible within the hospital. They are employed here at our hospital, and we've become a referral hospital in the chiefdom. There isn't anybody like us around, and we help many people. We're the only free hospital in the country that serve the community of any age or any ailment or whatever. We also do surgeries and so on. And right now we are here because we have a dental camp that was happening for the whole week with our 3 dentists, lovely dentists, you being one of them. And you've helped so many people. I think over about 250 people in a space of 4.5 days. And I cannot even imagine the number of teeth that you guys have extracted, and the training that you've been giving as well to all our local volunteers. So thank you so much.
No, thank you, because without you, we wouldn't be here. Just listening to that, I think it's a monumental undertaking. And I don't think that there are many people on this planet who would even consider taking something like this on. So I think what I want to know is, firstly, why Yonibana? And secondly, what is it that made you decide, okay, we're going to set this up? Because a lot of people, they come to a place, that help a little bit, and then they would just leave. So what is it that made you stop here, and what is it that made you do what you're doing and just be committed to this cause of improving healthcare in the region?
I've been arranging medical camps in developing areas around the world, many, many different areas, very remote areas where there haven't been any medical facilities at all. And over the years, being at so many different places and helping out, when we were invited to come to Yonibana, again, we were just supposed to come here for one single medical camp. I didn't even know where Sierra Leone was when we got the invitation in 2004. Anyway, it took us 2 years to arrange this one single trip to come out here. We didn't know any flights that were coming out here. We weren't even sure if these flights were legal or whether we'd end up coming here ourselves. Sierra Leone had just come out of the civil war, and it was extremely, extremely remote, but also in a way dangerous as well because of the civil war that had just come out. So there were lots of challenges that we faced at that time. But I think once we got here, there was about 36 of us who came on the initial medical camp. Once we got here and we started seeing the patients, it kind of reminded me, because I was born in Uganda, and we had to leave Uganda when Idi Amin took over, and he expelled about 63,000 Asians from the country back in 1971, 1972. And at that time, the day when he actually took over the country, as it were, my sister and I were being driven to school, and our driver, instead of taking us to school, he took us to somebody's house. He told us to hide in a dining room under a dining table. And we really didn't know what was happening. There was lots of noise, lots of gunfire, lots of people shouting and screaming. And he told us, he hid us under this dining table, put the tablecloth all the way down to the bottom so nobody could see us two little girls under there. And told us to wait there until he came and collected us. And now this was at about 7:30 in the morning. The two of us were there till about 9:30 in the evening when he eventually came. We didn't know whether he was going to come, what was happening, whether anybody would see where we are, or whether we'd be able to see our parents again. Anyway, he came to collect us. We're so thankful for that. He took us in the shade of the night. He didn't want the locals seeing us in the daylight, so he came very late. Took us to our parents. Our parents were elated to see us because they didn't know what happened to us. And that was the time that I was reminded of when I first came to Yonibana. Because a lot of patients that came to us, a lot of young girls, a lot of women, they faced similar challenges with the rebellion that was going on here, and they weren't as fortunate as we were. And that's what I kind of remembered. And I think my heart kind of just drew to that time, that I was so fortunate. God had looked after us. Something had to be done to help the society here. And also, there wasn't any medical facilities that these people had. Even now, 15 years later, they're finding similar challenges. We're the only free hospital in the country. We see anybody that comes through our door and we try and help them as much as possible. So from that one single medical camp, we sat down at the end of 10 days that we were there, and as a group, we spoke about it. And obviously, I had more of an ulterior motive than the rest of them. But everybody kind of agreed that, yes, the need was here, and we had to put roots down. So from that time to now, we're in this beautiful place. Yes, it is very, very hot compared to where we come from. But I think people come and help, and people like you, all our teams are wonderful. We all give our time free of charge. We all come here paying our own fares and so on. And I think the passion is there amongst all of us. And that's what drives me.
Mm. Do you remember the first time you had the desire to help others? Because the reason I'm asking you is, again, this is not something, unfortunately, that's very common amongst people. So what was it, a certain instance, or do you remember the first memories of you wanting to help others and being committed to the cause of alleviating suffering?
I think that kind of came from a very young age, because I'm the older of our three children, and it was always a case of look after your brother and sister, whatever happened, and so on. And so I think it came from a very young age when, Mum, because we had a business back in Africa at that time, and so Mum would be busy in the business, Dad would be busy, and so we were kind of left to fend for ourselves, and in those days, we looked after each other, and that's where it all kind of started. And then when we came here, it was meaning in the UK, it kind of just got reiterated a little bit more, because my brother, who's the youngest of the three, was about 5 years old at that time. And for him to go to school on his own, because Mum and Dad used to go to work very early, I had to go and drop him to school and so on. And I was about 11 at that time. So I think I think looking after people and just helping them came from a very young age. And I've always been somebody who is more of a doer than, sitting back and looking and so on. We have so much. We have so much in life. Yes, we struggle. But at the same time, we have so much. And I kind of say that and also teach my boys the same thing, that we have so much. So you can only eat one meal a day. You can only wear one pair of clothes a day. So, why not go and help other people? And that's where it all stemmed. And then when we went to India the very first time in 1978, it kind of opened my eyes even more so, because I was 18 at that time, a rebellion, lipstick, curly hair and high heels. And having had to go to India again, that was because parents wanted to send all three of us on a pilgrimage. Being an 18-year-old, that was far from my mind. Parties were something that I was looking forward to over the summer holidays, and not so much pilgrimage. Anyway, we went and had such a great time, and ended up looking after all the children there again as well. So it's been very natural for me to be doing that. And it kind of, it gives me fulfillment to see that, something can happen from nothing by just giving it a little bit of support, a little bit of encouragement, and a little bit of help. And that's all people need. And that's what situations need as well.
To undertake something this big, you need a level of discipline. There's motivation and there's discipline. Right, motivation is not sustainable. We have ups and downs, bad days, good days. How did you incorporate that level of discipline, or was it something that came natural to you? Is it something that you remind yourself that you have to do, or is it something that you just know that you have to do? How does the discipline come about? Because I'm sure there have been days when you just ask yourself, why am I doing this? When everything's against you, that's when the discipline kicks in. Or is that something else? Is there a spiritual element? What is it that keeps you going?
There is definitely a spiritual element. There's definitely a spiritual element. We follow the teachings of Sai Baba, Sri Sati Sai Baba, and a lot of the teachings are very much about seva. And, Manav Seva is Madhav Seva. Service to man is service to God. And also, I think, whenever I see something, or I hear something, or something's happening, I just see it as not so much an issue, but as how can we solve that problem or issue or whatever. And so I think it just comes natural to me, whatever it is. I always try and look at the positive from whatever angle, There's so much heat here, I'd love to be in an AC room, but how would I have the benefit of this lovely sunshine? How would I detox myself if I was sitting in an AC room, So you always look at the positive. Anything that's happened, you always look at the positive, and there is always two sides to every single situation, and that's how I face it. And also, yes, there are days when I think I must be mad to be doing something like this or taking on something like this, but I think the team that we have around me are wonderful, and they're so helpful. They're all younger than I am, most of them, like you are. And I actually bounce my ideas off them and so on. And also sometimes, they act as my counselors too. I can offload certain things to them, and we just have ideas and we bounce backwards and forwards. But, just getting on with it and not to give up in a way. And also I feel that situations, challenges, issues wouldn't be in your path or wouldn't be there in your path if you were not able to solve them. I think we just have to apply ourselves and think outside the box. A lot of us just think that, that is how it is, but we need to look at things from another perspective. And when you do that, you'll see it's so simple, and that's it.
How do you deal with stress? Because I've been witnessing you over the last few days, and there's been lots of stressful events that have happened, big and small. How do you deal with it? And yeah, how do you overcome it?
Well, first and foremost, I don't look at it as stress. I don't let that affect me internally. So I just look at it as a piece of paper that is in front of me. And how do you tackle that? How would you pick it up? What would you do to that piece of paper to get it sorted out? And also think about it from a different angle. And also, why is it there? Why has that manifested? Why has that come along? Is there something that we're lacking? Is there something that we need to do? And most of the time, things come in our path because something better is going to come along, or we're going to find something else alongside with that. So while you're sorting out that issue that's come, or that situation you're in, what's going to happen is something else will also come along which will be more beneficial. So there's always two things to it. Recently we had NACIT, which is like the national insurance in Sierra Leone. So there was an issue that our staff hadn't communicated properly with them. So they rang me up on Tuesday and said that we had to go to their offices, which is about 200 miles away from here, for a 20-minute appointment, for a 20-minute meeting, that we had to go there. And so obviously our staff were quite fretting because it's a government agency and this and the other and whatever. And I said to them, look, just take all the paperwork we need to go take for the meeting and just pray on it, and let's just go answer their questions, and let's see and put that situation that they're telling us we're in at their doorstep and ask them how they can help us to solve it. And which is what we did. We were there for 20 minutes, well, less than 20 minutes. The manager was so helpful, and he couldn't have us out of his office early enough because all he kept saying was, you, the CEO of this charity, you're doing wonderful work. I don't want to take much of your time. And it was, it was something that they had called us for. Mm-hmm. But when we came out of the office, there was some school children who were sitting in one of the conference rooms. And I just asked the deputy, I said that, these lovely children and so on. And he said, they're all about 10 to 12-year-old, and they've come here for careers advice, and they've come here to ask me questions. And he said, look, why don't you talk to them? And so I went in and I started talking to them about health and so on, and found out that there was an American charity that was supporting this school. And so, from that, we've now made contact with another charity which is in the US, and we've decided that we're going to try and see if we can have a Zoom meeting when I get back to London to see how we can collaborate. So there's always something good or positive that comes out of every situation, and I think that's what we need to look at.
Brilliant. Victims of the Civil War, I'm sure that conflict left a lot of kids without parents, left a lot of people without homes, without jobs, but almost, that war took away so much for so many people, lost lives, lost limbs. When you came here, I'm sure you met people, and I'm sure you met children who had lost everything. Who did you meet, and how did you? Because I know you've taken quite a few youths under your wing and supported them, sponsored them, educated them, looked after them. Could you give us an account of what you experienced and what some of your children now are doing and how you're supporting each other?
Yes, we did. We encountered, nearly every second child that came in was malnourished, had Kwashiorkor syndrome, So there was a lot of support that they needed. Children, babies, even adults, a lot of malnourished. A lot of them came without limbs. If you've seen Blood Diamond, the movie, I think Leonardo DiCaprio is in there, and you see that that's exactly how it was at that time. We had people coming in with gunshot wounds who'd been during the war, and so the bullets were still embedded in their bodies, in various parts of their bodies. So we helped with removing them and treating them and so on. A lot of the children were orphans. A lot of them were disabled as a result of the war. And so when we first bought the land and we started building the single building hospital that we have and the guest house, very naively we thought that once we open the hospital we'll employ qualified staff and then we'd run the hospital, but that didn't happen. So government didn't have qualified staff. We couldn't get anybody in the country either because everybody had left and gone abroad because of the war. So we closed the hospital and we started bringing teams over 4 times a year, and then opened the hospital. When we came for about 10 to 12 days, we saw anywhere between 3,500 to 6,000 patients at that time, and then we would close the hospital and so on. So this was a time when the locals would come, some of these orphans and so on, come and volunteer for us. So we decided that we couldn't go and carry on with closing and opening and closing and opening. So we decided that let's try and do something else. We had to think outside the box. So we started teaching them English and maths. And we gave them an exam. 77 of them passed our exam. So we sponsored them from secondary level all the way to graduate level in medical and non-medical training. So we have electricians, we have plumbers, we have an administrator, we have an accountant, we have clinicians, we have nurses, and so on. We have a lab tech and pharmacist and everyone. So there's somebody in every department. And a lot of these guys are young adults, but they're orphans. So, they came to the hospital again after they finished their studies in 2018, 2019. They started qualifying. And so we employ them at our hospital. So these guys are the only employed staff in our charity. We all work for free. And they're doing a wonderful job. And we bring teams still out from the UK and other countries who come out to do more teaching and also more training and to give service as well, like you have and like our other dentists have today. And it's wonderful. The little bit of encouragement that these people have got, they've really, really taken. It's like ducks to water. And they've really taken it on board. And, they're all very proud young men and women, supporting themselves but their families as well, and also qualified.
They say the 3 pillars to true happiness are compassion, purpose, and detachment. So my question now to you is, how do you stay detached? And do you stay detached? And how do you go about it day to day?
I think there is a certain amount of attachment, but at the end of the day, I still have to focus on the bigger picture, because compassion is there, empathy is there in terms of what the patients feel and whatever and so on. So, and of course, wherever possible, human nature, they'll take you for a ride, and therefore I think we have to start getting to know the situation, read the people, and I also rely a lot on our staff, because they know, because they come from the local area, they know the local people, and they know, whether or not there is a little bit of, non-truth being said by them, if they can't afford things or whatever. And so there is that level of detachment as well, because at the end of the day, if I didn't practice that detachment, I wouldn't be able to go back, and fundraise to expose what's happening here and then come back here with more resources. So that detachment has to be there. But that also comes through a lot of spirituality and a lot of meditation.
On a physical level, what have been the challenges that you've faced to keep this charity running? Because I know there must have been lots of times when you've had to dig deep within your own pockets to make it sustainable and keep it going. How have your efforts to fundraise been in the UK or elsewhere? And what has been the challenges? What's been the most difficult thing when it comes to fundraising? Is it the level of awareness? Is it, getting people to connect? Or has it been other things? What has been the challenges? And I know costs have gone up everywhere. So what has been the biggest challenges so far in terms of raising enough? And
I think the biggest challenge is being out there to be aware, more people to be aware of what we're doing. So we need to raise more profile, we need to raise our profile a little bit more and so on, well, a lot more. But also the fact that although we're a very hands-on charity and we're doing a lot more than any of the big aid agencies are doing or able to do, being a small charity, what happens is we try and put funding bids in, and sort of towards at the last stage, we're told that we're not big enough for them to fund us. But, we're doing a lot of work compared to a lot of aid agencies, but we're not big enough in name and so on, and awareness and exposure for them to fund us, as it were. So I think we need a lot of help for awareness, for making our charity known out there, for the work that we're doing. I mean, to date, over the past 4 or 5 years that we've been open full time, we've seen almost 100,000 patients. This year alone, there have been over 200 surgeries, hernias, hydroceles, C-sections, and appendicitis. A lot of dental surgeries that have been going on, especially recently, cataracts, and so on. So all these, and they're all performed free of charge. Pre-op is free of charge, post-op is free of charge. We give them medication and whatever. We just need awareness. We need more and more people to know about our work, and, come and see us. Come here to the ground, come and feel what we're doing. Come and see us, come and quiz us.
A lot of us give to charity, a few pounds a month to start off with and then increase it to more. But I also know that countless charities take quite a massive chunk out of the money that we give them. How does, say if I were to give you a certain amount, how is the money allocated to different things, and how does it work with every contribution that's made?
Well, it really depends. I mean, we have some regular donors. They don't specify in which department they'd like their funding to go to. So what we do is we utilize their money to go for the general running of the hospital. If we raise £1, then at least 99 pence goes towards the project. We have hardly any overheads because everything is done from our own offices at home. We are not paid staff, so all of us work free of charge. Every department in our charity is led by a consultant, and then they have their own teams under them, and we have various volunteers. So all of us work free of charge. We give our time free of charge. We come to Sierra Leone, we buy our own tickets. We don't get the charity to pay for us, and also, we contribute towards what's going to happen at that camp as well. So regular funding goes there. If somebody specifies that they want their funding to go for a specific thing or event or area or project, then we make sure we allocate that funding for that project. So, we want to build the first dental university in the country. There is no dentistry in the country. So our teams have formulated a curriculum with King's College Hospital, with WHO Oral Health for West Africa, and with the Sierra Leone government for the Medical and Dental Council. And that curriculum now is going to be passed into Parliament. And once it's stamped, which is almost done because they don't have any other curriculum, it will be the curriculum that will be used by anybody who wants to teach dentistry. However, dentistry, to put up a dental school, it is quite specialized and it is expensive. So we haven't had a lot of people doing that. We will be the first dental school in the country, and the government are fully behind us, not financially, but they want to help us in any other way that they can. So, fundraising for the dental school would be wonderful. Now, if we are raising funds for the dental school, then and if people put the funds in for that, then that's where it will be parked. So where there are general funds that are coming in, go for the day-to-day running of the hospital, where we have to buy the medicines, we have to buy all the laboratory items and dressing room and so on, and we have to pay our wages, our staff here in Sierra Leone. So that will go for that.
What are your other plans? Because I know this is part of a much bigger project. So please tell us about that.
What we want to do ultimately is to have a university here, a medical university. But not... So the medical university that we're looking at building here will have different wings. Dental will be one of the wings, and it will be the first dental university in the country. We're looking at a neonatal maternity wing, and in the area there isn't anything like that at all. So if there is a pregnant lady that comes in the hospital and she needs some specialist care, she has to travel about 4 hours away to the main government hospital, and more often than none, both mother and child lose their life, because it's almost towards the last minute that they come in. And so something needs to be done in this area. We also want to look at expanding on our laboratory for testing, and X-ray units as well, because all these facilities are there but not in our area. So the nearest one would be about 4 hours away, and that's too long for certain things. Also, to increase the human resources, qualified human resources within the country. Now, why would we be different to anybody else? On the dental side, we would be, because we would be the first one, but there are other maternity hospitals, not necessarily only maternity, but like nursing school, like midwifery school and so on. So when midwives and things come out of their school, a lot of the schools here are mainly theory-based. And so now, slowly, there is a little bit of practical element going on in some of the education centers, because more people are coming from abroad and giving that education or giving the support to the various universities or various colleges. So if we can have, since we have a hospital here already, if we can just expand on what we have by building different wings and then making that into a teaching wing, then the university side of it, what will happen is we have the theory, also we have the practical, that when a person comes out, that person will be more armed and more qualified, will know what to do straight away in whichever institute that they go to. Also, our standard of teaching is all WHO standards, also the Western standard of teaching. So we try and aim for the highest possible, that at least if we don't reach to the top, we can reach nearer enough to the top. And that's what we're trying to do.
I think that's very much needed, especially because, like you said, the number of medical professionals in the area are almost non-existent.
Correct.
And we also know that within the country there's about 5 or 6 registered dentists who are working.
Yes.
And Sierra Leone is a massive, big country.
And those 5 or 6 are all in Freetown.
And treating the patients here, it just reminded me what poverty does to you. So most patients that we saw today and for the last few days had been suffering in pain for months, anywhere from 6 months to 1 year. And we both know what dental pain can do to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It cripples you.
Yes.
And they've been living with it for so long and have no idea how, right? Secondly, with poverty, you can't have access to painkillers or any other sort of treatment. And finally, many of them come from very far away. So, they're using their savings, their energy. They have limited food supplies, so that limited energy they're using to come here
to get
and
Yes.
hoping for the best. Right now, if we had a bigger facility, we could guarantee that we can see everyone and provide them the treatment that they need. Because, what we have right now, it addresses the immediate, urgent pain. We can facilitate dental extractions, alleviate pain, but at a larger level, if someone's suffering from cancer or complicated abscesses, extractions that are needed, we can't provide that at this level. And that is why it's so important to have that expansion and get more professionals involved who are specialized in different branches, not just dentistry, overall, their health. Because again, a lot of patients that we saw had other things going on with them.
That's right.
But it's so limited, and we're so grateful that we have this facility to help them as much as possible, but we have a long way to go.
We do. We have a long way to go, but we have to be very positive. And I think, very soon we will get there. It's one step at a time. And I think the support that we're getting from our volunteers back home is wonderful. Our teams are wonderful. And I think everybody is looking at different ways of getting awareness out there in their departments, so that we can get that support. The challenge is very much when we bring things into the country, and they're very, very grateful for us to bring it, but it gets stuck at port, and that's what the challenge is. So it's like the country is not helping itself, and we go to the offices and we ask them and so on, and it's all about bribery, and we don't want to do that. Let's try and get here, the way we should be getting here. And not in a corrupt way. And that's what we need to focus on, which is what we've been doing up till now. We shout a lot. I shout a lot. Even when I go to the parliament, I shout a lot, and raise my voice for the work that we're doing and so on, in the sense that, if we can do a little bit, help us, and then we can achieve a lot more.
I think people forget as well that, when we have things set up here, what it took for us to bring those things here.
Yes.
So I know you have your warehouses in London, which have been given and donated by others, housing all the items that have been donated, also things that you've procured. And then the second bit is to hire containers to ship them over, and again get them from port to here. It's a long path with many hurdles along the way.
Yes.
And I just want people to know that it's not just a simple process of bringing a dental chair or something over here. It takes a lot of finances, energy, and time. So looking at how the hospital is running, what it needs, and your future plans, how can people help you? How can people listening to this help you the most? And in what way? And I don't want you to hold back. I just want you to tell us exactly how we can help you and how the people can help you.
Well, obviously, to fund our dream, as it were, and I think they would get a lot of satisfaction from that as well, and to come out just one time, if not more, just to come out and see the progress that we're making with the help that we're getting. And also to have that satisfaction that we've actually been able to change not one life or two lives, but many lives, in the country, to help us with equipment, to help us with on the teaching side, to help our teams developing curriculums. I mean, we have curriculums in the UK, but they are UK curriculums. We have curriculums in Sierra Leone, but they are Sierra Leone curriculums we need to marry the two, and we need to try and come up with a good balance so that we're not so much UK based or so little, based here as well. But we have a good mix on there as well. So we need to do that. And we need more volunteers, to come and help.
Yeah.
Because all our volunteers are professionals that we know personally. And so we're always knocking on their doors to come and help us at the warehouse, or help here or help here. But, just a little bit of help would be great. If people can spare an hour at the warehouse, it's usually at the weekends. When we're loading containers, it's during the weekdays. But, if people can spare an hour, that would be great. If people can do fundraising activities, that would be great. If people can open doors for us, because, social responsibility from big companies, they all look at doing something good. It's good community feel. It brings the communities together by doing that. It gives them exposure, the companies. It'll give them also good standing. We can promote the company a little bit further as well. And at the same time, their employees will be feeling so much better as well, because somebody that they're working for is compassionate. So social responsibility, and whatever they donate through social responsibility can be claimed from the taxman.
True.
So get tax relief as well from it.
And it doesn't have to be just medical health professionals, just to be clear.
No,
it can be any
anyone.
profession, isn't it? So
Any profession.
Plumbers, electricians, all of that is needed.
Those
and especially
people-
coming here.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. We need more of those people than anyone, because we need them to come and teach. They don't need to come here and fix a drain or fix a light or something, but they need to come and teach, so that the people here can carry on once they've gone. That's what we want. We want more training to happen, and so. My mum came out. She was 81 when she came out. What did she do? She taught the ladies in the guest house some cooking, which is also very needed. Then she went and helped in the pediatric clinics. She played with the children while the pediatrician saw, the children. Because every parent that came in with 5 children. So the doctor couldn't see 5 in one go. They needed help. So if my mum, who's 81, can come out, anyone can come out. Every single person is needed. But also students, who finish their A-levels, who are going into university, they can come out to see what it's like, where they would like their career path to be as well. We've had many students who've come out here, and it's opened their eyes up in such a profound way that they've taken on a career path where they wouldn't have even thought about it. We had one person, both parents are solicitors back in London, and he wanted to go and make money. And after coming on two of the medical camps, he became a surgeon instead. So it's changed, and it's great for him, and he's really loving it. So it really does. We've had 3-4 pharmacists who've come back, and they've all become doctors afterwards. We've had many marriages. People have met after they've come out on a camp or two, not necessarily only here but other camps, and they've stayed together, worked together, and by doing that, they get to know each other. When they go back home, they might go out a little bit long, and then you find out that they're getting married, which is really great as well.
Yeah.
So they're finding their life partners. But yeah.
That is amazing. In all of your years, I'm sure you've learned a lot, you've experienced a lot. What would be some of the key pieces of advice you would give to, firstly, someone who's young and someone who's aspiring to do more things in their life, and also to someone who is retired and starting that journey, what piece of advice would you give to them? But also, how can they help the LF as well?
So I think the younger generation kind of really needs to think about exposing themselves to a little bit more outside their comfort zone, and that would be so nice for them to explore that. They have their whole lives ahead of them. If they can go out and just experience what's happening on the other side of the world, just to see where they might fit in, not necessarily, because there are so many young people these days, and there are so many courses that people can do. In my days, you either be a doctor, dentist, accountant, or an engineer. Those were like the four, or a pharmacist. Those were like the five main basic streams that you took. But these days, there are so many things the youngsters can do. And if they can think about experiencing something like this, and the way we are unique at Better Lives Foundation is they can volunteer for a week. It doesn't have to be for 3 months. It doesn't have to be for 6 months. A lot of aid agencies like you to go and volunteer, but they want it for a longer period, and people can't afford that, financially or time-wise, or, they don't want to go out that long. But if they want to experience that, they can come here for a week, they can come here for 2 weeks and experience what it's all about. And there's so many different facets that they can do here, not necessarily medical, but so many other things. They can do agriculture, they can do any of the arts here, they can do so much, they can do sports here, and then think about their career path once they've done that. But also people who are in careers, in terms of, and so many may be in a career but not so happy with what they're doing. Again, have a little bit, have a holiday, come out. It's not somewhere where you sit on a beach with a margarita. It's actually helping out. You might enjoy it, and it might open your eyes up to something else as well. And the same thing goes for retired people. When you get retired, I think a lot of people think, right, that's it, I'm retired. What am I going to do now? My life is finished. What happens to me? And the statistics is once you retire, many people 2 years after retirement go to see God. So rather than that, try and have another career, volunteer, go and do something else. And it doesn't have to be that people have to come out abroad. They can do things where they are. They don't have to leave their homes, but to have another focus, which is going to give them so much more out of life, even at that age. And, they will actually feel valued. Their children will feel so much that, my parents or my uncle or aunt or whatever are have got such wonderful things that they're doing now, and outlook. And so I think, people need to think about that. Yeah.
Indeed. Thank you. What would you say to people who say that they don't have time or the money to do this? Because, if we think about our everyday lives and how we are caught up in them, where we, go to work, and then we have family commitments,
Yeah.
and our own projects to do, and all of that happening, how do you balance everything? Is it the fact that you have found a way to not distract yourself with everything that we find ourselves distracted by? How do you stay so focused? And just tell me, if you have a typical day, what does it look like?
Okay, I do not have a typical day, so I cannot really tell you how that looks. But yes, I am distracted by what everybody else is distracted by. Social media, telephone calls, family issues and things like that. But what I do is I try and compartmentalize them. So even if I'm so sometimes, somebody will send me something for Facebook or whatever, and I go on to Facebook. Straight away, my thought will be, how can I make use of this or something like this for BLF, or for something else, or for my personal work, and so on. So I'm always thinking about whatever I've got, how to make that work. People, when you tell people about the charity and things like that, they come up with things like, oh, I don't have the time, many people get married, they have children, and obviously they have to raise their children and so on. And it's very true that they don't have the time. And I appreciate that. So, it's very much like, well, we can't help you just now. But they can. Look through your diary and look at all the people that are in your diary that may be able to help. All you need to do is open doors for us or give us introductions. Then leave it to us, for us to get on with it. So that is also a huge help that people can give us, And typical day is very much similar to anybody else's typical day, just with a little bit of extra things that go on.
Would you like to leave us with a last thought, just an epiphany that you've had? Because I feel this whole little chat that we've had today has been not only very inspiring, but also very informative about what you're up to, what PLF is up to, and also your plans for the future. And I think, it all starts with a dream, and it's about dreaming big, and you've embodied that, and I love that. But not only the fact that you're doing it, but it's also for others that you're doing it. You're not just doing it for yourself, which, again, most of us do. So, honestly, kudos to you. Just so much respect for what you're doing. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
I mean, I have to say the same from the bottom of my heart too, to all of you. Because yes, it is great to have Mount Everest dreams, but without having the support, those dreams cannot come to fruition. And I feel that those dreams are coming to fruition, with everybody else as well. So I think it's the teamwork. As they say, teamwork is dream work. So all our big dreams can become a reality when all our teams start thinking about them as reality as well. And that's what we need to know. We need to do as well. I think what we have to also remember, sometimes people who are my age, in my generation, they kind of get scared. And they get scared not only for themselves, but also for me. And I get phone calls at home, I get messages at home that, I'm dreaming too big. But I think if we don't dream, and we don't dream to our ultimate, we're never going to get anywhere. And also, it all happens with little steps. It's not that, we've dreamt about having St. George's Hospital here, and it's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take time. But at least we have to work towards that. We've got a goal. We've got an end goal that we want to aim at. And even if we get to 50% of that goal, we're still better off than people who didn't dream at all. And we're helping that much more than people who didn't, have that in their thought at all. So I think it is, kudos to all of us. So thank you so much, Keval.
You're welcome. Thank you.